All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Kaye. Hello. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Tiffany.
So, so we were talking a little bit, but why don't you? So, I was saying I love the Vintage Sweet series, but why don't you tell us a little synopsis of maybe even all of your series? Because the one that I had never heard of that now I'm like searching for is the People of the Wind series. That is amazing. So tell us a little bit about your different series that you have.
I have one that's kind of dead in the water right now. I'm looking for a publisher because the publisher Barking Rain Press went under, and they had published two novels in my CRESSA Caraway musical mysteries. Those were really the first ones I ever worked on. I think I took about 10 years to write that first book, like most people do.
I'm sure.
And I just had envisioned this being my series, my one series, and the protagonist is a musician, and she was going to become a conductor and travel all over the world so that we could avoid the Cabot Cove syndrome. People could die in different places instead of all in the same place. And, and only two books got published, and then the publisher went under, and I was busy with other things, and I just haven't ever gotten back into that. So there's two books in that series, Ina Kleine Murder and Requiem in Red. I think Ina Kleine Murder is not a very accessible title, and I will change that if I ever get them republished. And then I had another series. What was the second one I had? Well, I guess my Imogene Duckworthy series was my second one. I had actually worked on the People of the Wind. I poured my heart into that. I've always been interested in archaeology and ancient history, and I had a Neanderthal tribe who were solving mysteries, a couple of the characters.
I'm so
And that's always been an interest of mine. I used to dig fossils when I was younger. Um, that has two books out now with Untreed Read. And actually, I am working on the third book in that. But yeah. I'm really having great fun. I love writing those. They're very hard to write because there's a lot of research involved. And they keep discovering new people, like the Red Deer Cave people that I just learned about kind of recently. I'm going to try to stick those in there too. So I got very disappointed when I couldn't get a publisher for that. My agent didn't want to handle them. And they've since been published. But before that, I just got so frustrated that I decided to write something that was just over the top, just as extreme as I could be. And I wrote the Imogene Duckworthy series, and I just made everything as ridiculous as I possibly could. And she's too stupid to live, and she does everything wrong. And I did all the wrong things, and people love that series. That's Choke, Smoke, and Broke are the three books in that series. Then I had the very good fortune to have a series with Penguin, Berkeley Prime Crime it was called then, the Fat Cat series, which I wrote under the pen name of Janet Cantrell. They wanted me to have a different pen name for that one. They were very successful. I sold a ton of those. Walmart picked up my first book, and I sold 24,000 of those books. Yeah, I know. They didn't pick up the second book. It sold well, but not 24,000. And then after the third book, Berkeley Prime Crime went belly up, and then Penguin got rid of most of their cozy authors. They kept rid of. And that was a work for hire, which means I can't write any more of those for anybody else. I can't use the name Janet Cantrell. I can't use any of the characters. So that went completely dead, but it's still selling. It was a few years ago. And then the Vintage Sweets is my latest one with Tally Holt, and I set her in Fredericksburg. I was very glad that my agent, who was my agent at the time, who lives in New Jersey, knew Fredericksburg, because I really wanted to set it there. And I thought, well, agents and editors, they're all in New York. They don't know Texas. But she had been there and she liked Fredericksburg and she thought that'd be a great place to set a cozy. And it is. So I got to set those there.
Are you from Texas?
I lived there for about 20 years. I'm from Northern Illinois.
I'm from
lived
Illinois.
in, where from? I'm Moline.
I'm way south. Well, I was born and raised in Arcola, which is very central Illinois in like an Amish community, Arcola and Arthur area.
Uh-huh.
But I went to college at Southern Illinois University, and I was in that area until I moved to Florida.
Okay.
But yeah, I had friends that went to school in Moline, at Northern, which is like in that area with McComas or something. Macomb, I guess.
But I've lived since I got married. We got this. My picture is reversed, so I'm trying to move my bangs, and
all the time when I go to hold something up, you'll see me. Yeah. I have to. Yeah.
So anyway, after we got married during Vietnam, and we got sent to South Carolina to the Air Force Base there.
Oh.
Then my husband went overseas to Southeast Asia, and then we got stationed in Montana when he came because he had asked for Florida. Military works, and then he got out of the military, and since then we've lived in Ohio, Minnesota, Texas, Michigan, back to Texas, and then here to Tennessee. So
where's your favorite?
Minnesota, I think. I love Minnesota. I like winter. I love.
Okay.
In Minnesota, you're out all winter long. They flood the ponds. There's lots of little ponds, and even the school area. They flood everything, and everybody ice skates. They lay out cross country ski courses on the golf courses.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of fun things to do in the winter.
Yeah, well, I will say I'm a fanatic about hockey, so I think I would like the ice.
Yeah, I like hockey too.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you're a Wild fan, so we'll just move on from that. No kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Are you a Wild fan?
My teams are actually the Dallas Stars, I think.
Okay. Okay. So I'm a St. Louis Blues fan because where I lived for 20 years in Southern Illinois was about 10 minutes from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
And so I've been a Blues fan for a long time. And now we're no longer in the Stars division because they just took us out and moved us, this year to the Pacific, which I don't even understand. But so now I don't have to, completely hate Dallas anymore. Or Minnesota. So there you go. So, well, good. So, some people have come in. I want to say hello, Sophia. Sophia's in the UK. She leads a ton of cozy mysteries. She's amazing. And then hello, Kaye. Kaye is my mother-in-law. She's amazing. She's married. She is my husband's mother, of course. And then Lisa Kaye from Lisa Kaye's book reviews. She is absolutely amazing. And wait, hold on, I'm taking back. Love the cold, Lisa. No, I'm just kidding.
My friend.
I see where you're taking sides, Lisa. No, I'm just kidding. My geography of the U.S. is abysmal. Well, I mean, you don't live here. I get it. So. Yeah.
Well, actually, my description of where I've lived, just think of it as touring the United States the hard way by living in each part of it, except New England.
Oh, there you go.
I was born in Los Angeles. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, okay.
I only lived there 3 months.
Oh. So, do you read a lot of cozies yourself?
I used to. I have less and less time for reading. If I had my druthers, I'd be sitting around reading cozies all the time. I do some reviewing for Suspense magazine, so I read the books that they send me to review, and those are all kinds of books. Gotcha. And one of the writing groups that I'm in here, the Authors Guild of Tennessee, I'm on the membership committee, and we're a group who promotes each other. We write reviews for each other. We just try to cross-promote as much as possible. So we vet all our new members. The people applying have to be local and they have to be published. And we want the books to be up to a certain standard. So I have to read all the books of the potential members, and me and my committee. So I have a lot of reading. have to do.
Do you think you would make a good sleuth?
No,
I wouldn't either.
I'm not brave enough to do anything sleuths.
See, that's well, I always make this joke, but this is absolutely the truth. I've read a ton of cozy mysteries, not as many as some of the people that that come on, but like I never figure out the killer. Like I told somebody else this, my newest strategy is I'm going to suspect everybody, no matter who you are, until you can prove an alibi. Because then I have to be right at some point.
Well, I watch a lot of Dateline. I watch a lot of true crime, and I gather material that's sometimes helpful. Sometimes it's just vicarious, you know. But I do find that I can kind of solve those. But I've just figured out their formula on an hour-long Dateline. They have 2-hour and 1-hour shows, and on the hour-long show, at 35 minutes in, that's the killer. Kind of a formula.
It's like 5 minutes.
They put the killer on at 35 minutes in.
Well, that's good to know. Now I just need to figure out the form. There you go. Okay. Okay. Lisa Kaye said, I live for the snow. Boo. And then she said your reviews are great. I was just talking about her reviews. She writes the best. I think that Lisa Kaye writes a lot of, her and I's reading taste align quite a bit. So whenever she says, oh yeah, read, Kaye George, I'm like, oh, yep, there's my neck, because I really
let me give Lisa a little plug. I have a blog up on her. I have a guest blog up on her blog tomorrow. So
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, coincidence.
That's amazing. I just put her in one of my videos. I'm going to start doing just kind of a little shout out to book cozy mystery bloggers. And I started with her because she did something like that for me. And I wanted to do a whole video. And I thought, well, if I get everybody's permission individually, because I wanted to make sure before I did it, I didn't put somebody's information out. I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but
Yeah.
And, but yeah, she has the best blog. She really, really does.
Yes, yeah.
I do figure out. I said I never figure out the murderer, but I am very good at figuring out the victim. Which in cozy mysteries, there's no. I mean,
they come pretty fast, pretty near the beginning. Not always, but
it's not even. It's just like they're the only mean character in the bunch, right? As soon as somebody starts acting a fool, I'm like, oh,
the one that everybody hates. Yeah.
But yes. I'm like, oh, well, that person's going to be poisoned. They've seen their day,
people say, and sometimes mystery writers say this, you better be nice to me or I'll kill you in one of my books. What I like to do with people I don't like is to make them the killer, because that's a bad person.
True. So that kind of, I have a question that I'll just ask now because it makes it. So are any of your characters, you don't have to say that I don't want you to out anybody for killer.
I take the fifth.
Do you have any of the characters in your books that are, combinations of people, or just are people that you can think of?
I guess everybody in my book, in all my books, they're all combinations of everybody I've known. There's a little bit of me in some of them. I will say that my granddaughter, whose name is Lily, asked to be in, for years she's been asking to be in one of my books. She's 14 now, 14 and a half. And I decided I would put her in my latest, in the Vintage Suites. So I gave her a different last name. I described her pretty much as she is. She's an excellent ballet dancer, and she's just gorgeous. And I made her a good character. And she wasn't well pleased. She wants to be the killer. So I'm going to have to at least do a short story and put her in as a killer.
I always say I want to be the victim. I just don't want somebody to off me. Like, probably because
everybody feels bad about it, right?
What fun. That's hilarious. So that series, I love the town that you're talking about, the Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've never been to Texas, but one of the things that I love about Cozy's is the small town. And I love Yolanda's Baskets next door. And I love all the characters. I love her parents. We were talking a little bit. I just love that they're entertainers that travel. Like, I'm like, why? My parents were so boring after that. I just, that series is so much fun. So there's 3 books in it, and I just finished the 3rd book, and I don't know.
I happen to have it sitting right here. Is it backwards or forward?
No, but raise it up just a little. There we go. And then you're perfect. Perfect.
Okay. Into the Sweet Hereafter. That's the 3rd one.
Yes. And that's the one I just finished. I'd read the other 2 and then this one. And I don't know what all is in the synopsis, so I'll let you talk about, because I thought the premise of this book was so interesting.
Okay, so I'm on.
Yes.
Well, I brought in the subject of some people call it blood jade, and I think everybody knows about blood diamonds, about how horrible the conditions are under which diamonds are mined in Africa, and it's physically dangerous to people. People die mining them, and they live in poverty, and it's a huge scandal, and a lot of people since then are avoiding blood diamonds. But there's also blood jade, and I've always loved jade. We were talking beforehand. My husband got sent to Southeast Asia during Vietnam. He did not go to Vietnam. He went to South Korea, but he was there for 13 months, and he brought back some jade things that I love. And then I found out about kind of recently about how jade is mined, and it is as bad as blood diamonds. The Myanmar, it used to be called Burma, but now it's Myanmar, and it has the best jade in the world. Jadeite, Burmese jadeite is the finest quality jade in the world, and the country is built on it. There are just mountains of it. It's everywhere underground. Wow. But what they're doing is they're digging out so much, so indiscriminately, that mountains are caving in, villages are collapsing, lots of people are dying. And it is just the same slave kind of conditions that they have in Africa for the diamonds. So I just wanted I don't dwell a lot on that particular part of it in the book, but it's a little part of it. And I just wanted to kind of bring that to people's attention.
It was so interesting. And I didn't expect that's where the book at all. Well, like when I opened the book, because I never read the backs of the books of series that I know I love. I'm just like, oh, it's Tally. You know what I mean? Like, it's the vintage suite. I never like look to see what's happening as a synopsis, because I know I'm going to read it. So you couldn't have, if you would have gave me 100 guesses, I wouldn't have gone there. It was so interesting to me. And you're right. It wasn't, harped on or anything like that. I didn't think anything like that, but it was just really interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the main part of the jade takes place in Fredericksburg. It's smuggled into the Fredericksburg. So. Unintentionally, it's supposed to go to Dallas. I shouldn't give too much of it away.
That's why I said I don't. That's why I was like, I'm going to let you talk about it, because I don't know what all is in the synopsis, and I do not want to say anything that.
Well, there's nothing about jade in the synopsis.
Oh, there's not?
I don't think so. No. Oh. Okay, we gave too much away already.
Okay, well, let's get caught up on comments. Sophia said, I love Columbo because the murderer is going to be at the beginning. He is the person. So I always ask this: if you were, oh gosh, let's knock on wood, but if you were murdered, what TV or book detective would you want to solve your case? And mine would be Columbo. I think I just loved him because he always acts so bumbling, but he knew exactly what he was doing, and he always caught you in the end with that.
Yeah, he's very sly, isn't he? I don't know. I mean, they all always catch the guy, so I guess any of them would be okay. Columbo would be good. I'm a very old fashioned Perry Mason fan. I like Perry Mason too, and Della, and what was his name, Paul, the
I'm
big
not sure.
guy.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I just, and you were talking about Cabot Cove, and I love the Murder She Wrote, but
Yeah, I do too.
I always make the joke, man, if Jessica Fletcher enters any room I'm in, I'm out, just out of an
I know.
abundance of caution, because somebody's going down.
Yeah, somebody's gonna die.
I mean, she'll figure it out, but it won't matter if it's me. So I'm out. I'm just
Right. I agree.
um Lisa had said that you were taking over her blog. Yeah, that's so cool. She said that's so cool.
I'm really mean that way.
Put my head in and stole my blog, but I love Kaye. It's okay. Sophia said, laugh out loud. Lisa Kaye, what is your blog called? So if she's not written it in there, like I said, in one of my videos this week, I talk about her blog, and I'm going to put it in the description, but it's Lisa Kaye's book review blogspot.com.
I think so.
I know it's Lisa Kaye S and then book. Oh my gosh, it's long. But again, I'm going to be putting it in my description, because I do a shout out to her and talk about her blog. It's amazing.
Yeah, if you Google Lisa Kaye and book review and blog, it'll pop up.
I believe I heard the same about opals. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe I have to write a book about those now.
You could.
That's terrible. I had a beautiful, beautiful opal that I got from my mother-in-law. She liked jewelry, and it was a very nice opal surrounded by diamonds. Unfortunately, when we lived in Dallas, our house got robbed once, and that's one of the things that I never got back. I got very, very, very. I got like 2 or 3 pieces of jewelry back. All the rest of my jewelry, all the stuff my husband bought me in South Asia, all the topaz and the pearls, all gone.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, being robbed is not a good thing.
No, that's a sad story.
Yeah. Okay. On to other things.
I didn't mean like that, but yeah.
It was a long time ago now.
Gotcha. So which one, and I don't know if you have a favorite one, but what do you think is your favorite character to write about?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I like all of them. It's like picking a favorite child. They're all my babies, I created them, I birthed them, and I
get you.
I can't be mean to the other ones. Pick a favorite.
Yeah. Well, I know that I'm going to be searching for The People in the Wind. I had never heard of that, but I am so fascinated. I know you mentioned it a little bit, but what the main character's name too made me laugh. And the main character is, tell me a little bit about it.
Her name is Enga Dancing Flower.
Yeah.
I gave them names. I worked really hard. I'm kind of a frustrated linguist. I majored in languages in college, and I studied a lot before writing this. At the time when I started writing this, it wasn't known whether Neanderthals actually were able to speak or not. Since then, it's been discovered, yes, they definitely could speak. They have all the physical capabilities of that. There's not a lot left of the Neanderthals. And so it's, while I was writing this, they were able to sequence an entire genome and find out a lot about them. And I was so gratified that a lot of assumptions I made actually were proven to be true. So I gave them some language, some spoken language. Their brains were larger than ours, that's known. And I thought, well, what am I going to fill those brains up with? And I decided to give them telepathy, which would make it easier for me to convey their communications to a modern reader. Because otherwise, I had them all speaking in that language that I made up. And I made up language that was easier. I studied the way babies spoke, the way people with speech impediments speak, and I gave them the easiest sounds to say because at that time it wasn't known whether they could speak at all. And so I gave them names that were at the front of the mouth, no gutturals. German apparently is a very advanced language because that's much too. Stuff, But then, so I gave them a name like that, and then I gave them another descriptor so you wouldn't just have to remember Enga. So Enga dancing flower tells you a little, gives her more of a name. And I had them. I reserved the spoken speech for very special occasions. The leader, and they're matriarchal. They have a woman leader, just because I wanted to. Well, I think primitive people, a lot of ancient people who can trace themselves back a long ways do have matriarchal lines. And to me, it made sense that if you didn't know anatomy and biology and physiology, you would know who your mother was, but would you necessarily know who your father was if you weren't monogamous? So I have them matriarchal. They all trace themselves through their mothers. And the leader of the Most High Mother, the Most High Female, I call her, she gives official announcements in that language, but they communicate mostly through thought and telepathy, and they do that in American English.
We've been, myself and another Cozy Mystery channel, Cozy Reads Mystery. We kind of been doing a Cozy Mystery chat on Saturday evenings, kind of live on the channel, my channel. And we were talking last night about, how kind of the whole genre is underrated as opposed to other genres. And it's our favorite genre. So we're like, why won't, because a lot of people sometimes don't even know what cozy mysteries are when you talk about it. But we were talking about too on another channel that we were on, Lizzie Faye Loves Books, about what is a cozy mystery series? Because there's a cozy almost about almost everything, but what is something you can't think of that it's about? And I kept saying, I would love to see a cozy mystery about an amusement park or a traveling carnival, because there's I just think that would be so much fun. But somebody last night was saying, I mentioned that you had this series that we're talking about now, and the People of the Wind, and
it's not cozy.
The co-facilitator said, I wish there was something like that. And now I know that there is. And so we were all very excited to go and find this.
Good.
You wouldn't label it a cozy?
No, I'd say more of a traditional. It doesn't hit any of the points for a cozy, really, except for a small closed group, which the tribe is.
Yeah. So for me, the only thing
there's no pets, there's no knitting, there's no.
Wouldn't that be funny? Okay. But although I like all those things that you just mentioned, the thing that I can't do is if there's a lot of scary or gore, just because I'm a scaredy cat, down to my shoes. I'm scared of my own shadow. So I have to be, but as long as it's not that, I'm still going to read it, because I just think it has such an interesting premise. And but anyway, we were talking about it, and we were all excited because she was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't a caveman? And we're like, well, we were kind of talking and back and forth, and we were, everybody was very excited to learn about your series.
Let me see, somebody, and I think it was a guy that writes short stories that take place in Rome or Greece, and he's a frequent contributor to either Alfred Hitchcock or Ellery Queen. And someone was interviewing him, and they said, why do you want to go so far back? And he said, the farther back in history you go, the better. And I thought, and I had been thinking about, I can do better than that. I can go way farther back than that. I can blow Greece out of the water.
That's awesome. So Sophia subscribed. Yes, Sophia, her channel, I always say channel, I'm sorry, her blog is seriously fantastic.
Lisa, you're being mean to Neanderthals. They're not like that.
Sophia
Part
said
of my mission in writing those books is also to upgrade the perception of early peoples. They're just not nearly as primitive as you. I mean, could anybody today get together with a dozen or so people and bring down a mammoth with homemade tools? Those people had skills.
I don't know, because if there's a mammoth in the area, I'm out. You can let me know afterwards how people did, but I'm not going to be around for it. I'm just saying. So what did you always want to be a writer, or how did that come about?
I guess a writer, a storyteller, a liar, whatever you want to call it. But I made up stories before I could write words. I remember drawing, and I even remember some of the stories. I would draw elaborate crayon drawings, and I would have to explain them to people because it was a story. There was a story behind behind everything. And I started writing comics when I was little because I read comic books. And I wrote a novel when I was 10 or 11. It was 2 pieces of lined paper, handwritten. That was my novel. I wrote 2 novels. One was about plesiosaurs, so I guess I had an early interest in that stuff. And one was about a girl who got mad and left home and went around the city and observing different things. So I've always wanted to write stuff. And when I was in high school and college, I sent a lot of short stories into the New Yorker, and what was then called the Atlantic Monthly is just called Atlantic now. And I collected piles and piles of rejection slips. And
as in anything.
And then I just kind of wrote stuff and wrote stuff and wrote stuff. And after my kids were gone and I had more time, I just decided I want to publish something. And I liked to read mysteries best, so I thought I will write a mystery. And then I started writing this. I was writing literary stuff before that.
Gotcha. Interesting. And then you went to in college. You did your like linguistics. You said, right?
Well, I started majoring in French and I ended majoring in Russian studies.
Oh.
But I also took English composition with a guy named Professor Hungerford, and he's the guy who discovered Saul Bellow. And I got, I don't know if you remember who Saul Bellow isn't publishing anymore, but he was a very famous Chicago writer. And I got a lot out of those classes. We would write a short story every week, and we would pass it around and critique each other, just like a regular critique group. But the professor gave us the critique that was our grade, that counted. And he told me he thought I would be a good writer if I kept writing for 10 or 20 years, which I think meant I didn't have enough material. So
that's funny. I was telling someone else, after I finished college, I took a creative writing course that was like at the community college for non-credit. I mean, it wasn't meant to be, it was just meant to be fun. It was like you could take cake decorating or bird watching. It wasn't for any type of degree. It wasn't for credit. It was called like community enrichment or something. Mm-hmm. But I took it when I got done, the first semester I got done with college, because I'd been in school so long, it was weird to go from that to nothing, just work. So, and it's a joke. I'm just kidding, because there was no grade, but I'm pretty sure if the gentleman, he was too nice to do so, but if he could have, and he wasn't as nice as he would have failed me, because he was so sweet, but he, in all of the nicest of ways, he basically was like, yeah, this isn't for you. And I never had a real desire to do it. It was for fun. I thought I'd be good at it because I've always been a huge reader, but I'm not. Even 20 years.
I think everybody's got at least one book in them.
Oh gosh, no.
But I'll read it out if you really wanted to.
I'll read other people's. And part of it is, I mean, I think it's spectacular, but I don't have a huge desire. I mean, I think it'd be cool, but at the same time, it's not like a lot of people, that really are striving for it.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible to write a book, though. I think that I don't know. That's hard
Well,
work.
another thing is my mother always wanted to write, and she would make up stories and she would tell them to me, and I felt bad that she never wrote them down and never did anything with them. But she liked to just make up little fiction stories and just tell them.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So Lisa said, "You're right. My Dover neighbors are a species all their own." Oh, that's funny. So it's kind of off topic, but I just really want to know because I think it's very interesting. What was your kind of like plan for graduating with like Russian studies?
Oh, I had my whole life planned out. I wanted to be an interpreter.
Oh, cool.
Because this was during the Cold War, and I thought the best way to deal with your enemies is to understand them. I still believe that's true. And I thought you can't understand a person unless you know their language. So I studied Russian. And I only had 2 years left because I had wasted 2 years majoring in French and decided not to do that. So I didn't have enough language skills to interpret. So I wanted to go live in, there were a lot of Russian interpreters, and I wanted to live in Poland or Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia when those were countries, and be a waitress or something and learn the language and then interpret. Like, I figured in a couple of years I could learn the language and then interpret, and maybe eventually marry an ambassador because I like money and I like to travel. So I had my whole life planned out, and instead I fell in love with a fellow scholarship student, and we got married during finals week. That was the end of interpreter career.
Oh, that's funny. Did
Yeah.
you use your degree in between though getting married and graduating and writing?
Did I what?
Did you use that degree at all in between like what you're doing now and first getting married?
I can interpret when I watched the movie War and Peace, I could interpret the signs they were pulling up. And when we went to Greece on our 40th anniversary, it took me 10 years to talk my husband into doing that, but we took a tour of Greece, and Greek uses the same alphabet, the Cyrillic alphabet, that Russian uses. And I could sound out the Greek, and there's enough Greek in our world that you can tell what it means sometimes. I remember the exit sign in the Cyrillic letters said Exodus. And I thought, that is so cool. Their word for exit is Exodus. It's a little arrow. It's Exodus, and it points that way. That's their exit sign.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. You really did have it all mapped out.
Yeah.
Gisela just came in. Hello, Gisela. I'm happy you made it too. Everybody's saying hello. So I always ask this, and the one that I'll ask about is the character that I know the best. So I'm thinking of Tally, and if Hallmark called you and said we really want to make a vintage suite TV series because they're doing that,
Right.
who would you want to play Tally?
Oh gosh, I go to so few movies. I don't even know the actresses anymore. Like Audrey Hepburn's out, right?
Well, I mean, sadly.
Yeah, that's a hard question. I should have been thinking on this.
Hallmark's making a lot of the books into TV shows, so I'm just giving
and they're welcome to do that, but they can pick their own actress.
Oh, well. Okay.
Well, I don't know. Tally is she's not real young. She's close to 30, or she's in her early 30s. So it doesn't have to be one of the starlets. Probably not the 40 and 50-year-old actresses that I know, though. What do you think? Do you have an opinion on who should play her?
You know, I don't, only because it's hard for me to, that I think that the actresses that play on that channel is like kind of the same, because like I think, okay, well, this actress would work, but she already plays another cozy sleuth for,
Okay.
such and such. But I think it's such a fun question. I'm like, well, y'all should be thinking about this, because Hallmark's making a bunch of shows,
Good.
books into TV.
And I'm sure as soon as they find out about it, they'll snap this up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, do you have any that you can tell us about? I understand if you can't, books, like even just kind of ideas on the horizon that you're going to be pitching, or you've already pitched, that you can even talk about?
I am writing the third Neanderthal book right now, and it will. I'm sure it will be published by Untreed Reads as soon as I finish it. I would like to write a third in my CRESSA CARRAWAY musical mystery series, and I thought I had a publisher for that, and I had promised to write a third in that, because those series are incomplete in my mind. They each have 2 books, and in my mind they've always had 3, and I have there, especially the musical mysteries, there's an overall arc of her parents dying, and I need to solve that in the third book. But I don't have a publisher for that one right now, so I'm not writing it. I have a project that is a complete departure. It's kind of a psychological thriller that
Oh,
I'm trying to do something with. So it's being read right now, I hope.
oh. So if say it's being read right now, they love it, they want to pick it up, how long is it in between that happen and like the book would be on the shelf? Because I had no idea the process that it takes.
It's usually about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After it's written though, right? That's what's crazy to me.
Well,
Like,
after it's written, I am actually between agents right now. I'm trying to get the agent with this book. Then the agent has to sell it to a publisher. No telling how long that will take. But after it's sold to a publisher, then they want to do a round of substantive edits. Usually, they have some things they want you to change, and then they'll do copy edits. And then they'll do a cover, and it's just that all just takes time. And then they have slots with their physical publisher, the person who makes the books. So you have to fit into a slot that they have open.
oh. So, and I didn't know this. Somebody told me, another author told me, and I mean, I really didn't understand the process. I thought you just sat down, wrote a book, and that was the end of it. I mean, I knew there was an agent and a publisher, but I didn't realize what their functions were and how long the process was. And I really didn't, when people tell me, oh, I didn't get to pick my cover, I'm like, wait, what? Or even the title on some of them. But what they were saying was about their writing style. They said some people map out and have an outline, and some people, what they call something about seat of their pants, or kind of the concept where there's no outline. Right. You're just flying by the seat of your pants. It's not exactly called that, but something.
It's called a plotter versus a pantser.
There you go.
In some circles, some
I knew it was something to do with that. The concept being fly by the seat of your pants.
Right.
Which one are you?
I tend toward the plotter. My contention is everybody's part both. If you're a pantser and you just think you're writing out of your mind, you're not. You've got a plot in your mind before you start. You've got something in your mind before you start. You've got at least the characters, And I can plot out the whole thing. I don't plot very meticulously. I plot 8 or 10 or 12 plot points, things that I want to happen when and where and how. And then I write from point to point. And as I'm going through it, especially if I'm writing a new series, I get to know the characters. And even in an old series, I have new characters that I get to know. Things change and things have to be shifted and things. So I don't stick to my outline. I have one, but I don't. It doesn't necessarily turn out the way I think it will.
Yeah. So I'm not talking about changes that maybe like your agent or publisher's like, oh, this isn't going to work because of whatever reason. But
Mhm.
do you ever, as you're writing, be like, oh, wait, I don't want that to happen. And I mean, completely flip the script?
Actually, the book I'm writing now, The Third Neanderthal, I did do my plot points, my main things I wanted to happen, and then I started writing, and I wasn't really sticking to it, and I went back to it, and I thought, no, this was better. I am not doing it like I should be doing it. So I'm making little notes in my manuscript as I'm writing it, and I'll go through at the end and flip things. I've got the person killed in the wrong place completely. He needs to be killed at another time in another place. So that'll change a lot of things.
So I know you said that you read a lot for reviewing and different stuff, but when you do have time to read for pleasure, what are your kind of favorite authors? Or not that I want you to leave out anybody, but just favorite genres so that you don't have to mention any authors that maybe you forget, or because it's like a
No,
word
honestly, yeah, I do like to read. I like to read all crime novels. I like the hard Scandinavian stuff. I like cozies. I like puzzles. Just regular things. And I love to read true crime. I don't know. I just have a true crime. I would never write true crime. And maybe that's why I enjoy it more, because as a mystery writer, it kind of ruins reading for you if you're a mystery writer, because you see this writer did this. Oh, I know why this writer did this, or I don't think this writer should have done this, or you're kind of analyzing it as you're going, and I don't analyze things that I don't write, so they're a little bit of a palate cleanser to read a true crime book. I read everything on JonBenet Ramsey. I read like 3 or 4 books on that. That was
it
so
doesn't give you nightmares.
fascinating to me. No, I don't really have nightmares.
Which is, but I will tell you the JonBenet Ramsey thing is, I mean, and to me,
Horrific.
it's of course, but it's so interesting. But I was dumbfounded, and now it's even more time has passed. Where when she was killed, I was a kid. Now I was older than her, obviously, but she'd be like, how old now? Like 30?
I don't even remember when it was. It was a long time ago.
I mean, she was. I just heard the other, like, there was the anniversary of when she would turn,
oh,
25
yeah.
or 30, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like blown away by that. But
the scariest book I ever read, and this one did give me the chills, was about the only serial killer that Wichita Falls ever had. And I was living there, right outside Wichita Falls, in a little town called Holiday. And and this book told about where all these bodies were found, and I knew all these places, and I drove past all these places, like this field that I would drive past to get into town. That's where one of the bodies was found. That one, since it was so close to home, it happened where I lived, was that's the most scary one I ever read. It was called Scream at the Sky. I can't remember the author's name, but it was really well done.
Oh my gosh, that
it was yeah. It was an apartment building, and I knew the apartment building. I knew, because Wichita Falls isn't that big.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no. See, I would never sleep again.
But I don't think I've lived in very many places where there really are serial killers.
Well, knock on wood.
That I know of.
Yeah, let's knock on wood for that one.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you put together the book, do you have so different, I think publishers and agents like let people have different say in their stuff. You know, like some people are like, no, I didn't. No, I did. Did you have a lot of say in like what the cover looked like and what the title was and
You
stuff
know,
like
the publishers are so different. The two main publishers I've had are the Fat Cat books and these, which Lyrical Press is an imprint of Kensington, which is a big company. The Fat Cat books, I got input as to the covers and I got input as to the titles, but it was their final say on really kind of both of them. But I approved I love the covers of the Fat Cat books. Those sold those books. Those are excellent, excellent covers. All the Berkeley Prime Time covers were.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Mm-hmm.
And you know, the cover and the title were the last things to be decided. With Lyrical, this really surprised me, but the titles of the 3 books were in my contract. I got complete discretion as to what to do with those titles, but I was given the titles. Revenge is Sweet, Deadly Sweet Tooth, and Into the Sweet Hereafter. And I wrote to the titles. The covers they gave me at the very end, and honestly, the cover of the first one, Revenge is Sweet, had skyscrapers in the background. And I said something about that. I said, you know, Fredericksburg doesn't have any skyscrapers. It's a very small town. It's way out there. It's nowhere near any skyscrapers. And they took them out of the next books, but it's still on the cover of the first book.
So. I don't know if I've ever noticed that, because I think the colors of your books are so like vibrant and stuff that maybe
they do pop. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Cheryl said late to the party. So Cheryl reads a ton of cozies. I mean, a ton, like she's read like 900 or something cozies. No joke. She is a fanatic about animal cozies. So it's funny that you write the Fat Cat series, because I have a series on my channel that I do called Spotlighting Cozies, where I look at different subgenres and kind of just talk about the different series and books that are out there. And I'm doing animal cozies right now as a request from Cheryl. And so I was thrilled. I did not know that you wrote under that name. So I had talked about your series and talked about how I was adding it to my TBR because I thought it was amazing. And then I made the connection because y'all sometimes have so many pen names that I sometimes have no idea. Somebody will go,
I have friends that have more than 2. I just have 2.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people that have quite a few. And I'm like, Phew. So sometimes
we don't usually do that by choice. We usually are told to do that by somebody. Although some people, if they want to write like children's books and mysteries or something that just doesn't have anything to do with, or science fiction or something, they'll choose a different name or a kind of a variation of their name, initials or something, to differentiate, so people will know they're not picking up something that they didn't intend to pick up.
Yeah. So when you're told that, you know, you need to write under a different name, did you use a name that like was just completely pulled out of a hat, or is like Janet your like middle name? Or
no, I chose that name, and it's so funny because I'm in a small little group where we discuss everything, our lives, our books, everything. And there are 2 Janets in that group. One is Janet Koch, and one is Janet Bolin, who writes under Ginger Bolton, yes. And Janet Koch's other name, I can't remember.
I don't know that name.
No, but she writes really good series. So they both, right when I was trying to get this contract, they both got really good contracts. And I said, clearly I need to be named Janet. So that was given. And then I just picked something that I thought went well with Cantrell, with Janet. I thought Cantrell sounds nice with Janet. And I looked up and it kind of means a singer. And I thought, oh, that's nice. So
yeah, I just want, so I know Ginger Bolton. What was the other one's name? Who you said? Janet
Koch. And I am sorry.
I'm just seeing, because it's probably somebody I knew.
I know it. I know as well as I know my own name, and I can't pull it up.
That's okay. I do that all the time.
And Daryl Wood Gerber is in that group. She's also Avery
Oh,
Ames. Krista Davis is one of my good friends. She's the New York Times bestseller. She writes a really good series.
the Domestic Diva.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love it.
What's really funny is we were doing this back then, and I've kind of gotten away with it. I need to do it again. We were putting each other in our books, and I mentioned one of her characters in one of my Fat Cat books, and a friend who is a reader online. I just know her online. She mentioned that she had just read the Diva book, and then she read my book and noticed that I mentioned that character. It's kind of an Easter egg. It's kind of not something that we, blare.
Oh,
So I
that's
thought that was
awesome.
really cool. Somebody noticed.
That is really cool. I love the Domestic Diva series.
Yeah, I do too.
It's absolutely fantastic. And then she also has an animal series that I have not read, but I'm super
There's
excited
the
about reading.
Pause. What is it? Pause.
Paws and
There's a
Claws?
paw on the cover.
Paws and Claws, maybe, or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
There's something along that line. That is so
I'm leaving
awesome.
out. I'm leaving out Peg Cochran too, and she is also Margaret Loudon, and something Peg London. She had a series. She's had a few names.
Oh my gosh. Peg Cochran, I love the Cranberry Cove series.
Yeah, that's good.
I know she's got another series I really want to read that I haven't yet. I think it's a farmer's market or something along that line.
Yeah.
But the Cranberry Cove, I have a thing for like orchards and farms, apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't know I did, but I do because I love them. It's so good. But I didn't know Peg Cochran wrote under more than one name. I'm going to have to go look at that later too.
She's got a British series coming out as Margaret Loudon, or is it London? One time she uses Loudon, and one time she Loudon is one of her real names, and she uses here she says JonBenet Ramsey would have turned 30 in August of 2020.
I knew it was like some big anniversary because I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I was. The only true crime I read was Helter. Oh no!
He's such a good writer. I've read everything. He wrote about the Everest expedition where all the people died. He wrote about the. He's written some good stuff.
Whoo. They were talking about JonBenet.
Yeah.
Cheryl said her daughter is very interested in true crime. Lady Love said, hello, Jessica. My computer just ran a massive update, but I'm finally well, welcome,
Hi.
Jessica. Sophia said hello. I guess I should read the first Fat Cat since it's on my shelf.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
If your shelves are like mine, you'll have trouble finding it. But
so that Tell us a little bit about that series, the Fat Cat series, the main character and
what was given to me was basically the first 3 chapters. The name of the cat, the name of the main character, Chase Oliver, her grandmother, and did they give me the victim? I think they gave me the victim, but it was up to me to do the killer and the suspects and on all the rest of the characters. So,
they didn't do that much?
Yeah, which is the only time that's ever happened. Huh. But the premise, and they gave me the premise of the cat. They said, we don't want you to be in the cat's head. We don't want the cat to say anything. We don't want the cat to solve any crimes, but we want, they called it omniscient point of view. The cat wanted to uncover the bodies and the clues. They wanted the cat to do that. But, and the cat would lead her to the views. And the premise was that the cat was too fat and he's on a diet and he's always hungry. So he figures out, he's very smart. So he figures out ways to get out all the time and find these things. And those were really fun to write. And I did write the cat. I didn't get into the cat's head ever. I didn't ever talk or think like a cat, but a lot of readers think I did. They said, I love the parts in the cat's point of view. it's not really the cat's point of view. You're just watching the cat from the sky. You're just watching what the cat does and where it goes, and there's no people involved. It's just the cat, but it's not really the cat's point of view.
I know that when I read the synopsis on that book, I was laughing so much because I never related to a cat more in my life, because it was like the cat had to go on a diet, but then it was something like, so no more cheesecake. And then like, and the diet kibble he thinks is not. I'm like, I have never related to a cat so much ever. And then it said, again, I'm not giving it away because I know it said in the synopsis because I have not read the first one. It said that he had gotten into somewhere and was eating meatloaf or something like that. And that's how things came about with like the story starting off. And I'm like,
yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm no kidding. I've never related or loved a cat more than that.
Well, I also based him on one of my cats. He was a rescued feral, and he was already named by, okay, my daughter had a roommate in college, and they lived off campus in this apartment complex where there were 2 feral mother cats that were so clever they could never be. There I am. They lost, I lost my train of thought. So the 2 mother cats were dropping litter after litter, and I think they eventually trapped them, but they couldn't feed the kittens because they were not healthy enough. And they would drop the kittens on the porch of my daughter's roommate's boyfriend. And my daughter's roommate, who is still a vet tech, she has just been an animal person her whole life. She would collect these kittens and bring them into their apartment. And they were tiny. They had to be bottle fed. They took little tiny doll bottles and fed them around the clock until they could get them old enough to be adopted out. And at one point, they had the remains of 2 or 3 litters, and they had a dog. And I went into their apartment. I said, "Jess, this smells bad. You've got to get rid of some of these animals." And she said, "Well, these 2 are 8 or 9 months old, and nobody wants them. So could you?" Well, actually, 3. I took 3 of them. One of them, there were 2 males and a female. The female was under the bed most of the time. The males terrorized her until one day she ran out the back door, and I never saw her again. Poor little thing. But the males I had for a good 11 or 12 years, they were unhealthy. One had thyroid trouble, Agamemnon. That's the one that the fat cat's modeled after. He eventually had diabetes, and he was, chunky. He liked to eat a lot. And he was also the smartest cat in the whole world. You could dangle a little toy on a string, and he would look at the toy, and he would look at the string, and he would look at "I know what you're doing," he would say. "You are not fooling me."
That is pretty clever. It's great. Sometimes, yeah, animals are so much fun.
Yeah.
So Sophia said she loves the cover of the Fat Cat. Me too. All of them are very
Aren't they gorgeous? Yes, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, they really are. Jessica said, "Oh gosh, that is exactly how I get stuck in a crime clandestine." Me too, Jessica. Me too, Jessica. Seriously. I'm telling you, when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this cat might be me. The minute I saw the cover of the Fat Cat, I knew I had to have the book.
There's 3 of them. There's 3 of them.
That reads a lot of animal cozies. The Fat Cat book is on my priority shelf, so I'll have no trouble finding it.
Good. Oh, good. I like a woman with a priority shelf. That's really thinking.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I am flabbergasted at how many cozies that she has read. But before you go, I do have to ask you this because I always think it's a fun question for mystery writers. If cops came in and searched your computer, would they be worried that you were a serial killer?
That's
or that you were gonna, off your
husband? My kids always say, and they don't even have to get on my computer. They can look on my shelf. I have a whole shelf of poisons and weapons, body trauma. I have books about it. They can just look at my books. My kids always hoped in Dallas when they were growing up, they hoped that nobody ever got murdered on our block because I would be hauled in. They were sure.
Mystery writers always say that. And
Yes.
I was at a virtual event where they were just the authors were talking, but we could come and listen to them talk. And it was I don't remember who all was there, but Lisa Burdett was there. And it was through the Key West Library. She lives in Florida. And then there was a couple others that I don't remember who all was there, but they were talking about how most mystery writers, and you've said that you've been married for many, you said for your 40th anniversary, you went to Greece.
Well,
so you've been married a very long time.
I was married 50 years. My husband passed away 3.5 years ago, but we made it to 50. So that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
They were saying that,
and I never murdered him. Okay.
That's what they were saying. They said they were making the joke that they're long-standing. Most of them were like you in very, very long-standing marriages. And they said, well, we do it because when we do get frustrated, we can kind of just take out our anger by killing somebody on the book. Not necessarily them, but
right.
killing somebody.
I really think that mystery writers are I do believe they're the nicest people in the world. I love almost every mystery writer I've ever met. We just have so much in common. We can talk about bodies and weapons. And I think we just, we write it so we don't have to think it and live it. We can get all our bad out on the page and then we can be nice people.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. And I mean, I'll tell you, all of the ones that I've talked with or reached out to have just been the most kind and gracious people, honestly. And just so much fun to talk to, so personable and lovely. And I really enjoyed talking with you. Do you have any covers of other books that you want to show us before we go?
Really, I just brought in here. I just brought these three.
Okay.
The Revenge is Sweet. Whoops, this is backwards for me.
Are the skyscrapers still at the top?
Yeah, see the skyscrapers? All those.
Now I do. I wouldn't have noticed it.
And then this one. Actually, I had some trouble with this cover too because the original cover was full of cakes and pies and cookies. And I said, this isn't the bakery. You need to make it a candy shop. And I had to really put my foot down before they changed that because they just don't change their covers, but they finally did. So, and it's got like lollipops and things, which my book doesn't really have. But at least it's candy and that. And they're attractive. These covers are attractive, and people really like them. So I'm grateful for the covers. They've done a good job selling my books.
I wholeheartedly. I think the covers are besides the titles, the covers are kind of what first drew me into cozies because they're just so cozy looking, and something like that with a lot of color and bright. Always is very attractive to me. Always. Yep. Oh yeah. Cheryl said, I'm on my way to the bookstore now.
Right.
Kaye said, love this chat and happy to have met you, Kaye.
And same here.
I've had cats in my life since the day I was born. Ooh, they can have an attitude. Just checked out.
Oh, good. And I get a ka-ching for that from the library too. So a tiny one.
Awesome.
I've had cats and dogs most of my life, both. So
yeah, I've always been more of a dog person. We've always had a dog growing up and all that, but I think cats are just so independent and funny that they're fun to read about because they're always up to something. The cover makes me want to live in the book. Yeah, Jessica, I feel that way about some of the towns for sure.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I would like to live there. And the town of particularly with like an old time. So Tally's store is called Tally's Old Time Sweets, which is like it makes me think of like
it's spelled all wrong. I kind of regret doing because I kind of have to look it up every time I type it.
That's funny. And right next door, her best friend, who's also in the books, Yolanda, has a basket shop that's like specialty, like you have a gift basket for a baby shower. I just think the town sounds so fun.
And the town is actually like that. The town of Fredericksburg is a great place to shop. They have year-round Christmas shops, and they have lots of candy shops, and it's a German town. They have German restaurants and just a shop for everything you can imagine, hats and shoes and everything.
That's awesome. Year-round Christmas sold me. Now I really want to go there. The year-round Christmas cozy mystery series I'm just obsessed with that series because it's year-round Christmas. That sounds amazing. Where did I mean? Oh, yeah, make me want to live in the book. So, Kaye, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I love it.
I had so much fun. So when I can put in the description, which will be in about an hour, I'll have all your information where people can find you, all of those sort of things.
Okay.
And I'm going to be searching out the People of the Wind. The Fat Cats are already downloaded because I use Hoopla. So, but the People of the Wind is on the.
Well, the titles are Death in the Time of Ice and Death on the Trek. And the third one will be Death in the New Land.
I need to search them too like that, because some sites, even when you spell their name right, it won't pull up. And then you put in the book title and pop, there it is. So,
well, if you just go to my Amazon page,
okay,
Hey George, all my books are there. Gotcha.
So, well, again, thank you so much for your time and visiting with me. It was so awesome. I really enjoyed having you. And when you get ready to have your third People of the Wind come out and you would like to come back, I would love to have you.
Wonderful. Yes, I will do that.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to it, just so you know.
Okay. But it's more than a year out.
I knock on wood, I still plan to be here.
Oh, yeah, me too. Knock wood.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. And Kaye, thank you so much for being here. And everybody have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Do I leave?